York has this vibrancy. I find it to be a place where you can have these collisions. Your day can kind of deviate in this really exciting manner that I don't see replicated in any other city. Hi, I'm Christine Messineo. I'm the director of Americas for Frieze.
Or spending the day walking around and understanding what you can do at the fair and what you can do around the fair.
Like, there are artists who are here, there are galleries, there are collectors, there are institutions. The High Line connects the Shed down to the Whitney. You have organizations like Dia that kind of sit in between it. There is an amalgamation of what makes the art world function, and they're here in New York City. As a young person who was interested in the art world, there was always a pilgrimage to the Whitney Biennial because it captured the art making that was happening that I wasn't being taught in the classrooms.
The Biennial is supposed to be a survey of American art, kind of a snapshot of what's been happening over the last 2 years since the previous one. And it's the longest running survey of American art. The Whitney Museum, we get nearly 1 million visitors. For some people, it's the first time they're even visiting a museum. It's not just capturing a snapshot of what's happening in contemporary art for people who live in New York and really go to the galleries, but it's also about introducing artists to a really broad public for the first time. I'm very excited to be partnering with Frieze for a program with Jonathan Gonzalez. And the piece is called Magic Hour Golden Time, which is kind of referring to both the kind of time of sunset as well as the like prime time TV watching.
So we're looking now at Jonathan's works that are here in the exhibition.
These are still photographs from actually a 8mm Super 8 film that he recorded of the 3 sites in which the performance will take place, the 3 terraces. His practice is so much about site, memory, architecture, and embodiment, and the piece is really about looking and being looked at.
Well, thank you so much. Last year, we did a performance with the artist Asad Raza. He had worked very closely with the High Line, and at one point, I think it was Saturday morning, we took these plants and we took them on a walk on the High Line. I was carrying this kind of like gigantic tree, which now that like spring has finally sprung, I planted it in my front yard, and it's grown. So, you know, come to Frieze, you never know what you'll get.
Sure, we'll try to do this with a straight face.
It's my reality show.
Okay, I love this.
Yeah.
It should be like casual and
Super casual.
Okay. The first work that I saw from David is a film that he made in 1972 titled To Pour Milk into a Glass.
That was the first work.
Yes, I became fascinated of how such a simple gesture like pouring milk into a glass can become such an existential act. It's such a smart, funny, mischievous way of pointing at what sculpture can be. This is a celebration of David's work and lifetime. He went to London in 69, he went to LA in the 70s, he came to New York, he lived in Brussels, in Paris, in Buenos Aires. So this idea of a globalized world from an early time where contemporary art was hyper-local and, you know, aiming for that global consciousness, David integrated that into his practice.
One reason we were kind of looking to collaborate, and I think we found such a unique way of working together, is we think about geographies very similarly. And I don't mean that just in terms of the proximity we have to each other, in terms of Dia, near where Frieze New York happens, but also as we're thinking about like what stories are we telling, who are we representing. And I think that what people don't understand is there are these kind of hidden public spaces throughout Chelsea and throughout this neighborhood. And I think we pay more attention to them now that we have this like major intersection of High Line and all of the projects that High Line Arts has kind of brought to this area.
I bumped into you around here. You know, it's you see people and you're happy to figure out what they are up to and just catch up.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
Doing well.
I know you guys have a really busy time of it. So we are here at Printed Matter in Chelsea, which is a non-for-profit space that was founded in the 1970s. It's actually one of the first spaces I visited when I used to come to New York in high school and college, because it has a plethora of different kinds of art books, publications, zines, and you would find things in here that you could find nowhere else, and that continues to really be the case. Printed Matter has been a part of Frieze New York for the past 5 years, and they set up a bookshop at the fair. There are so many nooks and crannies within the space where you really are discovering artists, and then some larger scale publications that kind of happen and are distributed through Printed Matter. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you
Come.
for having us.
No, it's a pleasure.
We're actually just at the edge of the West Village, right by kind of 14th, just below 14th Street, at one of my favorite non-for-profits in the city. It's a relative newcomer, though years in consideration and thinking, CARA.
Yes, it's a new place, but as anything takes time for things to appear. I think my profession, apart from being a director or many other things that we are at the same time, I'm from the camp that we have to create connections with the people who come. Anything that we do with artists has the same sort of plane of importance. Nothing is a byproduct. We have to make an effort to bring people together, because otherwise the relationship of art only through objects, you lose something. Right. So from the very early on, like even CARA started only with public program, and kind of really thinking what it happens when we are all together, thinking together, sharing an experience together. So we hardly film anything. It's like you either are here or not.
Right.
It's like part of the experience.
And part of the lore.
It's been really fun to explore Chelsea and the West Village and some of the great art institutions that are in our neighborhood. Thanks so much for joining me today and getting a little slice of all the things surrounding Frieze New York. Over the course of today, what's been amazing is that there's been like 3 run-ins that were unexpected. And I hope you have that same sense of reunion when you're walking around the neighborhood. See you at Frieze New York.